Good afternoon. Sorry for the delay. Anyone who knows somebody that wasn't able to get online, we're going to send out a notice later. We're going to let them know that this is recorded, so they'll be able to watch the recording, which will be much easier to get to view. So, can an independent contractor collect unemployment? I'm going to be answering the questions that some may be a surprise to me, so I apologize if I have to think about the answer. Independent contractor. We don't know what the qualifications are for salespeople to qualify for unemployment. We won't know until we start getting some denials. And then we can bring that information to our national association, our state association, to let them know that we're not being treated as fairly as we should. But the steps you must take is to go online and file for unemployment. Now, many of the questions are going to make no sense to an independent contractor. When you answer those questions, always remember the famous words of President Reagan. I'm sorry, I was about to laugh. All right. The fierce words in the English language are, "Hi, I'm from the government. I'm here to help." So these are people that are setting up a system in an emergency. They're doing the best they can. And so they set up a system where you're going to have to answer questions that make no sense to you and then get denied. That's the thing. You must get denied. You will get an email or a letter in the mail. Preferably, you're going to get an email. After X amount of days, they're going to tell you that you could then apply again on a new feature that they have for independent contractors. That's when we're going to get a good idea of who qualifies. But you must go through the steps and don't be annoyed. Just do it. It's not a big deal. This is an emergency. Everybody's trying to do the best they can in government. Next question. Oh, one-on-one. The governor issued a executive office dealing and used the term one-on-one. No one seems to understand what one-on-one means. Well, it's very simple. If you're showing a piece of property, the seller should not be in the property, in the house or the condo. Or if it's an apartment being rented, the tenant that's there now cannot be in. They have to be outside the building or in these condos in the hallway. Be best if they go downstairs. When you bring someone into the unit to show, or the house, what you must do is to be careful. You must stay 5 feet, 6 feet away from the consumer, be it a seller, be it a buyer. Makes no difference. You must always keep your distance. Remember, the whole idea is to protect you and to protect the people you're with. And most important, protect those you love, because if you bring something home, everybody gets affected. So protect yourself. Do not let a buyer insist upon shaking your hand. Do not let a seller or buyer or consumer, no matter what, demand to be close to you. Set the rules up, set the guidelines up, all right? Now, what happens if a seller refuses to, but one thing, if you're going to show a piece of property, you might want to impress upon the seller to open up all the kitchen cabinet doors, to open up all the closet doors, make sure all the doors for each room is open, all right? Do not touch anything. That's the most important thing. No one is to touch anything. You're not to touch anything, and the consumer is not allowed to touch anything. You're the only one who will open the door to let them in, and you'll be the one that closes the door, and you should do it with gloves. If you don't have the plastic gloves, in wintertime, I'm sure you have gloves. Use a napkin, use a paper towel. Do not touch anything in someone else's property. You owe it to them to be safe. Now, what happens if a seller refuses to leave the house for a showing? You let them know that you are following the governor's executive order and you cannot violate the law. And if they would like, you could put the house up and keep it showing as active. In the Hudson County MLS, by the way, our system is simply, you keep it active and you put in the remarks of advertising, owner during this national emergency is not willing to show the property. Explain to the seller the problem with that is it's called days on the market. But everyone's going to know days on the market means nothing during this national emergency. You can always withdraw it and put it back in again, start it all over again. But some of the websites will not permit you to get away with days on the market like that. We don't. We respect your wishes. Now, each multiple has different rules on that. Ours is very simple. You can keep it active and you just put in the advertising remarks so everyone knows you're not showing the property. In regards to if the owner says, no, don't even keep it active, we have a system called temporary off the market. You just put into temporary off the market. And when you start showing it again, you put it back to active. It will not show as days on the market on our website. In our Paragon system, you will not count those days. But on other websites, they will. They will look at the listing date. And so you just got to be careful about that. But the most important thing is to serve your seller, right? If a seller says, I would rather take it off the market during this period, say, listen, we have a system called temporary off the market. Let me put it there. And once this is over with, we'll talk about it. By the way, anybody who's not showing a property, know what you should do. You should talk to them. You should keep them as your client. You don't want to lose them because once this is over, you need buyers and sellers. Get them to try to sign an extension on the listing. Anything. You do what you need to do to keep that listing. I'm ready for the next question.
I think you just went through this.
Well, I think I answered that question. Okay. Can an owner demand that I continue to show the listing? Yeah, they could do that. If we have two different types of realtors now. We have realtors that are not willing to go to a property, and we have realtors that do. If you're one of the realtors that are not willing to show property or even get involved with the closing transaction, what is needed by a listing salesperson, cut a deal with a salesperson in your office in regards to referral fee, the one that is. Remember, there are people that don't want to expose themselves, and there's people that believe the safety precautions they're taking will be fine. You should not judge either one. Each has the right to decide what they want to do to protect themselves. So if you're a realtor that isn't willing to show property or to get involved with the process of what needs to be done by a listing salesperson, by meeting different people and so on, cut a deal with a salesperson in your office. Go to your broker. See what you can do. Get something out of it. Don't give it up, all right? Virtual tours. We always had virtual tours on our Paragon system. Now each multiple has a little different rule. We set up a rule here in the Hudson County multiple. If you take an amateur video of the unit or the house and so on, with no coding, nothing that shows your company name, no advertising on it, just the property, you could take a video and attach it to the listing and put the link on in advertising remarks. Our website will show it. Many websites will not show it. They will delete it as we send it over to them. Right. Oh, our famous appraisers and home inspectors. Over the years, they've always wanted to have access to our lockbox system. We would not give it to them, and we still will not give it to them. There's no doubt about it. you as a realtor must keep a relationship up with the appraiser. You're going to make sure he appraises that property correctly. You know, where we're not perfect, neither are they. There's certain information they want, but you got to keep your distance. You should stay 6 feet away. But realtors, your brokers will tell you that it's best that you go with the appraiser with the property if you can. As far as home inspectors go, you might have a buyer. That insists upon going. There's nothing wrong with that. But you must respect the home inspector, 6 feet away. Making sure that the buyer respects the home inspector's safety. That's a must, okay? You should go, if the buyer doesn't go, you should go there. Make sure the home inspector actually inspects the property. Remember, if you don't do that, if there's something that happens down the road, you could be held responsible. But respect appraisers and home inspectors' safety, as well as you respect your buyer, your seller, and also yourself, all right? Now remember, most important, the seller cannot be in the property when the appraiser, the home inspector gets there. They must be out of the property, okay? And going into a hallway in a condo may not be acceptable. They may have to go downstairs. And that brings to another subject, elevators. What they're finding is the most amount of people catching this virus are in apartment buildings, high rises, because of the elevator. That's a problem you're going to have showing condos with the elevators. Now, those that are in good shape, hey, running up the steps will do you wonders, okay? Going down the steps is much easier. Try and stay out of the elevator as much as possible, but that is a major problem that they're having. Next question. Electronic notarization. The New Jersey Assembly passed the legislation that approves it. We're waiting for the state Senate to do it before it can get to the governor's office. If you know a state senator, call him up. You're his constituent. Pick up the phone, call them, and say, when are you going to get this done? This should have been done weeks ago, all right? There's no reason for delaying this. Other states have it already. I understand there's legislation in Washington to make it national. But this is something that needs to be done quickly. But help us out. Pick up the phone, call your senator. If you don't know who they are, just go to New Jersey's legislative website and you'll find out who they are. Pick up the phone and call them. Nothing wrong with calling them. I hope that some of them have their phones manned at a time like this. This is what government is known for. Next question. Now, we believe that all the cities are setting up a system to make sure that you get a CO, a smoke certificate, and then you will be required, once this emergency is over, to go ahead and have the property inspected then. If you find a town or city that you're having difficulty with, and when I say difficulty, I don't mean they didn't answer the phone just then, or they didn't return your call back right away. I mean, real difficulty. There's the email address. Our state association is trying to do it. Do me a favor. If you contact them, give them all the information they need. Just saying, I can't get it is not good enough. You've got to give them enough of the information so they know that they have a valid complaint. CC us. Sometimes I know someone in City Hall. I might be able to contact somebody and open up the problem, okay? But we know of one city, no matter what we do, it's like talking to a brick wall, all right? And if you email us and say you're having a problem with that city, we'll let you know that's the city with the brick wall. Next question. Well, Margaret Watson and Ned Rubin, our president, came up with this idea. You know, there is a major problem with some of our nurses and doctors, and especially the ones that are being considered the least are those young men and women that are getting in the ambulance and coming to the homes and having to escort sick people to the hospital. And so many of them have this virus. I happen to have an employee here that's husband is one of those, what is it, EMS? Yeah, EMS. You have to hear, I've listened to her talk about what happens when her husband comes home, what she has to do, and what it does to her daughter watching this. It's kind of scary. And these people throughout northern New Jersey, where we're getting hit the most because of Manhattan, because we're basically a suburb of Manhattan, the job they're doing is outstanding, and they're running short on supplies. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to ask a leader to come here and just give you a little plea. Now, some of you cannot afford it. Do not be embarrassed that you can't afford it. And if you can afford just a little bit, help us out. We're going to donate as much as we possibly can, and we're going to donate it to as many ambulance core groups as we can help. Alita?
Good morning, everyone. So I just want to share my experience with you guys for a second so that you know how it's affecting us. So my husband's been a EMT for the last 25 years, and he comes home every day and tells me that he's never seen this before, that this is crazy what's going on in this world right now. We set up a system in my house now where he comes home, he strips down in my family room, everything goes right in the washing machine, he goes right in the shower. My 16-year-old daughter sees this day in and day out. You know, like Joe said, we know some of you can't donate, but if you can, every penny we make is going to go to PPE, to N95 masks, to gloves, to gowns, to whatever we can get for the EMS community. Okay, they need it. They're struggling. They're washing gloves. They're reusing N95 masks. We need to help them out. So you can donate today, it's going to be open for the next couple of months at both the Liberty Board of Realtors website under board events. You just have to sign in, or rmlsnj.com, mlsguide.com in the payment center. Like I said, every penny is going to go to these local EMS squads. Most of them are volunteer. You know, thank you for your help. Stay home, be safe. And I'm going to go back to Joe now. Thanks. Oh, and I need to remind you that every day when I come in here, I tell Joe about the stories from the night before, or we talk on the phone if we're not actually in the office. And this morning, Joe handed me his credit card and he donated $2,500 to this. So we have a good start right now, but we need more. Thank you guys for your time.
Sorry about that pitch, but these people are saving lives, and they're putting their own lives in danger, all right? Now, the guidelines, you know, you could read these bureaucratic guidelines all you want from the federal websites, that they're available for you. But the truth of the matter is, you just got to use common sense. Keep your distance, wear your gloves, wear your mask. Hats, by the way, especially if you're short, it gets in your hair. Someone talks, it spills into your head. And wear hats. Keep safe. That's the most important thing, okay? You could read those guidelines, they will bore you to death. You know what you have to do. Don't get into a crowded elevator. Just stay away from people, okay? You owe it to yourself, and you owe it to your family that you see each night, all right? Is there anything else?
That's it.
That's it. Well, a little word, I gave you a little word of advice, but let me just tell you something. We're Americans. we win. This is a war. It's an invisible opponent, but it's a war. We owe it to the generations before us. We're Americans. We are from all over the world. The best of the best from all the world came here. We owe it to them to win this battle. There's no doubt in my mind we could win. All you have to do is follow the safe rules. The faster you do that, the less chance of you being exposed. I want to wish each of you the best of health. God bless you. And of course, God bless America. Thank you.